Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, loads of people have been asking me about my Iron Twins speed farm team. So I thought I'd do a video and just kind of drop it out there. I've already done an unkillable, already done a block damage comp. This is going to be speed farm where I'm not unkillable. I can die. Okay, so, and this really is one of the fastest style of teams that are out there. For me, Iron Twins is actually a priority on my main account. Free to play, I only do Iron Twins on a Sunday with 6 keys. Main account, I do Iron Twins every single day. It's one of the first things I do. It's actually one of the ways that I can progress my account the most in a short period of time. It's also extremely RNG and luck focused, but honestly, it is one of the ways that I can get the best growth on my account over everything else that exists. So, if you do not own a Geomancer, you basically cannot be in the Speed Farm Club. Yeah, that's the facts. If you don't own a Geomancer, then a block damage team or an unkillable team is absolutely the better way to go, because you're going to be wanting to run in there and do either Armigers like enemy max HP skills or poison or another way of doing damage. But Geomancer has got a unique passive which enables your team to do more damage. In fact, I'll show you on the optimizer the fastest teams here so you can kind of get a feel for it. For anyone who doesn't know, the optimizer kind of helps you find teams based on the champions that you own. So you can go into the team optimizer up here. You can select any content that you want to fight. As long as other players have done runs whilst the optimizer is open, it collects data for that. So I could go into here, stage 15 for twins, and hit suggest team. And then I can say, give me the fastest teams that are out there. Yeah. Now, what I would say is, be careful of the ones that have only got one battle, because that means they don't necessarily have a really high success rate. Although it's 100%, doesn't mean, if it's only been run once, it's not a lot of data to have collected. But you can kind of come down here, and if we look, every team, I'm trying to find one without Geo for a fast team. Every team, Geo. Yeah, he is like, he's so far above anyone else for this dungeon, it's insane. It's a flaw in the game that we don't have anyone else that can do what he's doing, bearing in mind he's an epic champion. Literally not a single one of the fastest teams do not have that fella in it. Let's go right down to a slower sort of teams here. Still 3 minutes odd, and I'm still seeing him in every single team. So bear that in mind. If you don't have him, it's going to be a much slower run. But I have done unkillable team stuff where you can at least beat it with different teams. Okay, then let's go through my build. So Geo is kind of like the main focal point build. I've got him in 6-piece perception here. Everything is defensive stats. Defense percent. I've got accuracy on the chest. I'll talk through that in a minute. But everything else, I'm kind of looking for defense percent, HP percent, and speed. And obviously the accuracy to get to the level I need. You basically want to be at 550 accuracy minimum. Ideally more like 570 accuracy. But you can account for your aura to be in that number. So I'm actually using the bishop for his aura in my team. But you see here, accuracy, health, speed, defense, accuracy, speed, defense, accuracy. All of it is kind of based on trying to stay alive, not trying to hit and do damage. Even my accessories, I've got high roll, HP percent, HP with accuracy. And then I've got a defense banner because I've got enough accuracy elsewhere with more defense on it. My masteries, I'm running this mastery here, Cycle of Magic, to try and get back to my A3 as quick as I can. But that's just like a whatever. I am running Turn Meter Boost. I am running Increased Accuracy. I'm running Blast Proof, take less damage. Basically, everything here is about trying to take less damage and trying to get back to Geo's turn as quickly as possible so that he can land his A3. Yeah, and his A3 is what does all the damage. You put the burn out there alongside his passive, which when a burn is out there, he deflects damage. And each deflecting damage hits, and that will proc when any of your team is hit. So you've got 5 chances for this to happen. It will do like a mini War Master proc, a mini 3% damage burst. There's not a single champion in the game that can do damage like this fella when bosses are hitting them a lot. So Geo is the main event. He is quite stat heavy. If you run him slower, which is possible, you still want him to place a burn really as quickly as possible. Yeah, that's the main thing. Until you've placed your burn, you're doing 0 damage and you're taking damage. So bear that in mind. But yeah, Geo build here. I do have a level 1 blessing. I was a little bit unsure what to do with him. I put faultless defense, basically meaning that he's going to take less damage from multi-hits. And this dude does do a few multi-hits. I just need him to stay alive. And I'm not running a block damage team here. So the second champion then in the squad is actually an epic champion. Doesn't have to be this champion, but cool thing about Aox the Rememberer is you don't need a build that makes any sense for anything else. And you might not be using Aox elsewhere. If you are, by the way, still a great epic, but we're reliant again on another passive here. So the passive for Aox is increases the duration of 2 random debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn when attacked. Occurs once per hit. Okay, so as long as you've got enough accuracy here, then this procs. Yeah, I don't care about anything else in the kit, honestly. I've taken an Iron Will blessing here. Probably actually better off changing that. Originally, I thought Iron Will would be better. I like the stats here, but originally I thought it would be better because this is based on an enemy doing an attack which is not activated by other skills. So when he does this kind of like retribution hit, this would kick in. However, we're not trying to get him to do his kind of retribution hit as normal. So I think I'm actually going to take that off and go with the same as what I've just got on my Geo there. Faultless defense. And just give me damage reduction per hit on multi-hits. But again, it's not... None of these champions are in here to do damage other than Geo's passive. Nothing else does damage. So you don't want any kind of like War Master Masteries on. I just want accuracy to land his ability to extend debuffs. That's it. That's all he's in there for. Otherwise, he's built as a tank. Yeah, if anything, he's got a bit much crit rate in substats along the way, which could, very small chance, but could proc. Look, there's the culprit. Look at these boots. They could proc that retribution hit if we get unlucky, and it's possible. Anyway, Aox is number 2 for his passive. There's other champions that extend debuffs as well. So if you don't have an Aox, you could use other ones. I guess Bulwark could come in. He's not going to be as effective as Aox. You could use someone like Vizier to just extend up the debuffs. You could use somebody like a Warlord, potentially. Like there's a few other Septimus, I guess. But you just got to be careful that they're not doing other stuff that's going to actually proc the boss's abilities. So Aox is my number 2. Bishop has been in a long-standing member of this squad. I've got him in a resistance build so that he doesn't take a load of those stacks. He is slower than the boss, slower than Geomancer. They're both important things. I've got him as I say, high resistance build and a tanky build. He's mainly in there for his accuracy aura. He also does a heal because I am going to take damage here. I'm not unkillable. So he does a big heal. He gives me buffs. Buffs push the boss's turn meter on. I want the boss to take as many turns as possible and get Geo's passive going as quickly as I can. So basically, it's all about buffs and defensive buffs, I guess. That's the main thing I want. He's got buffs on his A3, buffs on his A2, and he's got heals. That's pretty much what he's in there. And he's got an aura. His passive is irrelevant here. So he's number 3 in the squad, sorry. I have run variants where I've used Helicath, because it gives me block damage. It gives me more security than this team. This team fails now and then. It gives me more security because he'll put his block damage out. And obviously, for a number of turns, we're just taking no damage at all. So bear that in mind if you've got a Helicath. He does a buff here. He does a buff here. And that will also push the turn meter of the boss on. And it gives you high survivability. But in this particular squad I'm showing here, I'm actually running Duchess in regen set. High health. She's got a lot of survivability. She's slower than the boss, slower than Geo. Again, important to put that in there. She brings a lot of buffs, which pushes the turn meter of the boss on. She's got a passive, which means we will take less damage from the boss when it kicks in. So she's number 4 on the team sheet. And then my last champion is Sifi. I actually put Sifi in quite recently. She's in a high resistance build. She has a passive which heals us each turn, which means that we're taking a bit of damage. She's going to heal some of that up. She also brings a lot of buffs. Yeah, same story, lots of buffs. She gives us a bit of a turn meter feel as well. But I also got Brimstone on her, which means that, okay, it's only a 20% chance, but I've got a chance to land Smite, which also does a lot of damage to this boss. So it's actually pretty useful. Recently found out that Sniper increases the chance for Smite to work. So I really want it on. I'm going to change this build quick. Okay, bit of a change up because I do want that extra 5% chance to land it. But Sifi's not essential. Duchess not essential. Bishop really not essential, albeit he's good. Anyone who's applying a lot of buffs and can keep your team alive, basically. That's what we're looking for. All right, then. Let's run through team setup quick, and then we can show you a couple of runs. We've got here Geo. Opens with his A3. You see he's just above the speed of the boss, over 250. He lands his A3, and then the boss will take a turn. Then everyone else starts doing their buffs. So he only does his A3 or his A1. Duchess, 223 speed, will open with her A2. The speeds of the rest of the champions, honestly, are not like proper speed tuned. It has to be this. They're just whatever builds were around, really. Sifi opens with her A2 as well. She's high resistance. Aox opens with his A2, which is a heal. And then we'll do a decrease attack potentially if we need it. He's very slow. He doesn't get a lot of turns. He might die. Don't really care. It's just about his passive. The Bishop opens with his A3 and then into his A2. I don't need his increased accuracy buff to do the rest of the stuff. If you're short on accuracy, but have got the Bishop, then you could make Bishop go fastest, do his increased accuracy buff before everyone else goes, and then you actually need way less accuracy, yeah? So that is an option. So let me show you this in action. I literally normally do this every day and then go off somewhere, make a cup of tea or whatever, but it is the first thing I do every day on my account because I do want to get this going. You see that instant damage, instant increase of duration of debuffs because of Aox, and again, and that's basically what we're relying on. Every time we buff, turn meter goes up. You see, not everyone is taking maximum stacks here because we've got high resistance builds. That means that's my failsafe, really. If somebody dies, Duchess can pick them all up, or Sifi can pick up a single individual. We've got Brimstone on, massive chunk of damage. That's why she's in the squad, honestly. That Brimstone buff is very nice. And we're kind of now waiting to get back to all of our abilities again, to get the buffs rolling again, to get him moving quicker. Here we go. Bam. Didn't get any Geo damage there. We did that time. But that's what we're waiting on. More Geo damage every time. We don't want damage in other forms. That 147k is the Geo proc. I've not even seen that many in this run, honestly. Been a bit unlucky. But that's what it's all about. More buffs. Get him to take his turn as quick as possible. Tons of Geo damage going off there. Aox is taking a little nap. He is weak affinity for this fight. Doesn't matter though. Duchess will pick him back up. We just don't want Geo going down. Brimstone's out there again. And this particular effort, dead. Boss. Oh, he didn't die yet. Yes, he did. 1 minute 19 is pretty decent. Let's just do one more run so you can see it in action for a second time. Then I'll kind of do a breakdown of where all the damage has come from for that run. It is quick. It's nice to see. I do like doing this type of, exploring the boundaries of my main account because, new content comes out. I actually do most of the content reasonably easy nowadays. So I actually quite enjoy doing this kind of playing around with comps. It's a shame, though, that Geo is the only champion in the game that really puts out any form of damage for this fight. It really is a shame. Like, it shouldn't be that way. Clarium, it shouldn't be that way. I'm not saying nerf Geo. I'm saying give us other options of viable comps, viable ways of doing it. Because it's a bit silly, honestly. It's a bit juvenile that this is the only champion in the game that people have to own to be able to do this with any sort of speed. It's silly. But you see our burn actually has dropped off this time. So for whatever reason, I guess Aox didn't proc or something, or we just didn't get it away in time. But the burn dropped off, which means that the run then slows down. Yeah, because without that burn up, we really don't do a lot of work. This is a dangerous time. When we've got none of our defensive buffs up, see that? He goes down. If he's down, we're not doing the damage that we should be doing. She's decided not to revive people for a little while. She feels like, no, we'll wait a little while for the revives. And then they're like, oh, no, we'll leave Geo on the floor because he's not that important. Geo's the only champion that's important, Sifi. Anyway, he's back up. We're back in the fight. And this ends up being one of my kind of like RNG runs, which runs a bit longer, closer to 2 minutes, but still enough. So when you see a breakdown of the damage, I guess I didn't get any brimstone there because Sifi only did 20k, but we ended up doing 4.7 million from Geo. He's doing it all. He's doing all of the work, and that's what I mean. So there you go. That's how I speed farm the Iron Twins every day. Yeah, if you want to do it, crack on. I would still say if you want safety, if you want to protect your energy, then a block damage team is probably the way to go. I'm going for speed over safety in my comps. Anyway, I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.